Welcome, dear. Welcome, dear quantum warriors and thrivers, to a live. And I'm really excited to say Thriver TV is back. Been gone for a little while, but back. So, what I'm going to be doing is posting this to YouTube as a Thriver TV as well. So, welcome to this live and Thriver TV session, which is a really important one, which is talking about why women are struggling to know that they are their own security. So, this might be a conversation that's very helpful for you and the sisters that you love, the people in your family that are going through this. So, what I'd love you to do is to like and share this video, whether you do this on Facebook or on YouTube. And there's two things that I really want to look at today in regard to women not understanding that they can be their own security. And the first of that is to be prosperous, to manifest abundance for themselves, thinking that they need a man or an institution or something secure behind them. And the other thing is to be able to look out for themselves, to speak out and keep themselves safe. So let me know where you're from in the chat. And also to please know that I'll be coming back to the chat afterwards to ask any questions and comments that you have about this. So if this topic is relevant for you today, you might have felt really frustrated with, I don't feel secure in my own skin or in my own body on this planet, and I don't feel like I can expand and I can create for myself. For women, this has been a really, really big deal. Now, I want to wrap the quantum stuff into this conversation and go to a deeper level with you because it can help you understand this. We know as females, and even successful females, that we should be able to provide for ourselves. We can get jobs, we can be successful. And what's so interesting, and we can survive without a man. I've found so interesting over the years is that I've met really successful women who've had amazing jobs. They've even had a lot of property. They've generated a lot of wealth. I've got a cat here being naughty. I thought I'd kicked her out. If you see her, it might be a bit like Tiggy TV. We've got Chloe TV. But with these women, when a man leaves them or they know they're going to break up with him, they literally feel like they're going to die. Even if this man hasn't contributed financially, and even if this man has, in fact, been a huge financial strain on their finances and, of course, their health and their well-being, which means that their life has been disintegrating and definitely not being improved with his presence in it. And yet there is this horrible feeling of, I'm going to die. I'm not going to be able to survive without this guy. And I'm going to die if I don't fix this relationship. And women over the eons have absolutely handed their power away in that way. I need him to survive. Now, there can be men that have felt dependencies with institutions and also maybe partners, family, etc., or stuck at jobs that they're not happy with because he or that is my security, my boss or that job. But this is an even deeper level of terror for women. And I completely put my hand up because I used to have this horrifically in my own life where I would be incredibly successful at everything that I did because I was hardworking, I was diligent, I believed in my ability to be successful, and I always believed that money would come. Yet I really felt like I'm not going to survive without a man and I can't get old without a man. And I knew that I had some very big glitches in regard to my whole security programs. And when I looked back into my history, my mum had never survived without a man. My forebears never survived without a man. And then when I looked even deeper into history, I realized that the suffragette movement was only in the last 250, 300 years where women came into their own to be able to earn their own money and have property and security rights and rights to their children if they didn't have a man. And I don't want to turn this into man bashing in any shape or form. It's just the programming that we've received and what the reality was for so many of us. Yet, even back in those days, for example, the suffragettes, they were up against it horrifically. Yet, some of them thrived. They had their businesses and they even had good men who were backing them and were supporting them regardless of the pressure from the patriarchy and the church. There were men that backed them. These women had incredible beliefs. So beliefs are so powerful, and most of us didn't have those beliefs. Maybe our daughters are getting them now, or maybe, we're ascending in that way. But for a lot of us, we didn't have those beliefs. And especially for women who have been narcissistically abused, generally, we haven't had those beliefs. And I know through the years that I've been helping people with narcissistic abuse, how many women have gone for that real alpha guy. And he might be strong and tall, or he's very successful. And we've done that because we don't feel secure in our own bodies and in our own life. But what's happened with that is rather than getting a rock in your life, you get a hammer. You get a man who is either abusive or he's very weak. So when it's time to be counted and stand up and be a protector of a good woman, not because she needs it, but because that's what a manly man does, who's healthy in his divine masculine, he is protective, that man's nowhere to be seen. He will abandon or run away and leave you with the difficulties in your life because he's a fair weather person and he's not a solid rock in your life. And this has been very, very frustrating for women to go through those patterns to only end up in the same place again, which is, I don't feel safe and I don't feel secure. When this happened to me, and because of deep inquiry and deep quantum healing, I knew that I am the source of my own experience, where I'm vibrating what I believe, where I've got inner fractures that are not healed up yet, is exactly what I'm going to be receiving. And it's what I'm going to cooperate with and hang on to rather than get my breakthrough. Because at the quantum world of so within, so without, it means that where your frequency is, your beliefs, which is then your thoughts, which is then your actions and your choices, creates a reality. And we are manifesting from frequency. So therefore, today's results are from our past frequency, and tomorrow's results are from today's frequency, and we can change that frequency. So the very powerful personal journey for me was, I have got to heal up and be my own security. Now, I had a very exacting, controlling father who took over things for me. So I'd been brought, and as he'd done for my mother, and I'd been brought up to, as a female, I don't really have a voice or rights, and I'm quite powerless, and, men make the decisions and I've got to fit in with that. So there was a double whammy for me, which I know is going to talk to a lot of you, is that, well, okay, I'm getting controlling men and I can't be myself and I end up feeling insecure and smashed and traumatized, and I lose myself and my life. So I've got to grow up into security and be my own security. But how will a man accept that? Because if I'm my own security, well, then isn't that going to turn men off? Isn't that going to be too bolshy? Isn't it going to be too masculine? How do I be a divine woman and be powerful? So I had a lot of work to do. And I did that work. I did that work through the NARP healings. And I did that work in so many ways because I knew that, first of all, I had to be 100% there with saying, I'm safe and I'm okay without a guy. Like, my life can be prosperous and flourishing regardless of not whether I have a man. And that means that I'm going to be able to choose a man because I want a man to add to my experience. I don't need a man to survive. That's freedom. And the beautiful thing about the quantum healing with that stuff is my man becomes source. And source is all that is. So when I need a man and I'm with the wrong man because I'm in fear of not being able to survive, I'm going to get a man that is always going to give me less survival and less flourishing, more dependency and more pain, which means more control and it means more abuse. But yet when I've healed all of that up and I come back to divine source, all that is the entire field, I now have a completely different frequency where I'm coming from health and power and inner solidness and inner prosperity, which isn't lack, it's plenty. So I can say no. I don't have to accept crumbs anymore. And the entire field gives me permutations, opportunities, synchronicity, and access to miracle, which just means synchronicity and miracle, which is positive upshift. All it means is I've had a frequency change. So therefore, I've gone up in vibrational reality about what is my reality and what can come in to my life and what I can accept. And I also got very frequency orientated, which meant the ability to feel what feels expansive, what feels great, or what feels like it's going to be a salve to my neediness, or, some kind of thing that's going to stop me feeling so empty and scared and alone and traumatized and fearful. Because that's low frequency. And if we're in low frequency, we make choices that don't save us from low frequency. They match the low frequency. They're a complete match. So the quantum journey about security was about changing frequency and then acting from there. So as a woman who graduated, who had my upshift from, even though I'm capable, and people could look from the outside and they could say to me, you're really capable and you're strong and you're smart and you make your life work. That's not how it felt on the inside. So my heart goes out to so many of you who I know are amazing, capable, incredible human beings. But yet on the inside, you felt alone and scared and fearful. And in many ways, you've probably overcompensated on the outside to deal because you're diligent, because you're hardworking, because you want a good life. But the inside has still felt like that. And then you've wondered, why do I end up flat on my bottom again, losing everything and not feeling safe and now feeling even more unsafe? And that was my life, I promise you. I would achieve, I'd go forward, and then I'd be smack bang back in, I've lost it all again. I feel so unsafe and so shattered and so broken, and nothing I'm doing is working. And the quantum reality for me opened up so much about, I understand that I've got to take this on. I have got to say, quantum law, so within, so without. If I change in here, I change, everything changes. It's not going to work any other way. And that intention and that decision to do that inner work on not being my own security gave me the most beautiful connection to source energy and that oneness of knowing I am the field, I'm connected to the field, I am looked after. And my beliefs went from lack to faith. I felt it as a resonance in my body. And I got really grateful and in wonder about even the little things that started to come into my life. That was the shift from lack and victim to plenty and flourished. So the little things that started showing up was showing me that this frequency deal is really, really real. And my gratitude for that and my wonder and my growth and continuing on with that completely changed my life from losing everything. First of all, it happened to me when I was 40, and then I nearly lost everything again at the age of 47. And now 10 years later, my life is rebuilt tenfold and just keeps expanding because of that frequency shift and dedication to myself to be able to grow and heal out of that. And with the quantum stuff, it's very fast. It's not like you have to go to 20 or 30 years of psychology and try and find where it came in your childhood and everything. When we do it in a quantum way, it's just frequency. It's just dense energy that we get out of your body and bring the higher self in, the light codes of true source. And you just go free into that, which is a human with capacity, synchronicity, miracle, inner power. And it's the feeling. It's not like you have to change in the world to get a feeling. You get that feeling and then you're just different in the world. And that's where quantum healing is from the inside out instead of the outside in, which is the old paradigm. So that place, now that wasn't it for me. That wasn't exactly everything it needed to be, and it won't be for you as well. The knowing that you can manifest prosperity is one thing, but how do you protect the goodies? Because a lot of you, as my previous self, you're probably not bad at prosperity and making money, or look, some of you haven't had those beliefs aligned and it's been kind of all over this lack and pain. But also for some of you, you've had the ability, like I did, to generate prosperity and be successful, but you would lose it. People would come in and take it all from you and smash you on that level. I had that as well, which is awful as well. And then I understood that to be my own security is not about just manifesting my life force and my prosperity and taking on that that's my responsibility to do, because it is. It also was protecting myself, speaking up, saying no, having boundaries. Now, for women and for men, this has been a huge deal. At the quantum level, every part of ourselves in this moment of now has come from a multidimensional self. We're so much bigger than what you could imagine. We've got past lives, we've got childhood, we've got epigenetic traumas that we've taken on from our ancestors that's a part of our DNA. If you want to go all quantum, which is pretty important, you have a future self. You've got variations of you on a future timeline, which is all collapsing into the moment of now from your frequency now. So if your frequency now is stuck in those traumas and old programs that aren't cleaned up yet, your future self is doing exactly the same thing. We have other dimensional selves, parallel selves. That's another conversation. But suffice to say, in quantum healing, we clean up all of those parts. So what's happened from our past selves and our childhoods is powerless persecution programs. Virtually everybody who's been narcissistically abused has got those. So what it means is that you previously, if you tried to speak up, have rights, push against the status quo of control, no matter who it was from, you could have been taken out. You were going to be crapped on, criticized, rejected, abandoned, or punished for trying to have your soul truth. Literally from childhoods and persecution programs, we have what's known as survival programs. You feel like you're going to die if you follow your soul source truth into freedom. That's the level of opposition. Narcissists are so good at traumatizing you and keeping you in low frequency, which is fear, where they can hurt you and control you. When you're not your own security, you hand over your soul and your power to them so that it's like Stockholm syndrome, so that they don't take you out or destroy your life. And that doesn't work with narcissists because you can't acquiesce your way out of tyranny. So let's just kind of spin this back to you being your own security. Your own security means that you can speak up, you can lay boundaries, and you can say no, and you can walk away, and you can go, I'm sorry, that's not my reality anymore, no matter where you are in the game, and be safe and empowered through source. It requires a few things. And again, this is frequency work. The frequency work is to not be in fear. And it's crazy because our ego tells us when you're in fear, that's what keeps you safe. Yet quantum law means it's the exact opposite. The truth is really so within, so without. Any action we take in a frequency of fear means you will co-manifest more of exactly what you fear. It never works. When you stand up out of fear, you're going to get back worse. It's like petrol on a fire. So frequent, and I used to be terrified, like so many of us. If I tried to speak up and have rights and have boundaries to be my own security, I would get like a white fuzz where I couldn't even compute. I couldn't even operate. And I would just get completely taken out and taken down. It didn't work at all. So I would just go along to get along because I thought that's the only way I can survive. But when I realized that I had to upshift that frequency of, yes, I can lay boundaries. Yes, I can stand in them. Yes, I can be fearless. And yes, I can say no. And I don't care how many ways you twist yourself into a different shape. So what? This is my truth. I own it. You're not my reality. And that got embodied. And what was so amazing about that and the quantum healing was when I got my fear out of everything I described, massively from past timeline and childhood and epigenetic traumas. When I got them out and I got that light in about my solidness and my truth, which comes from our higher self, which is our fifth dimensional self. It's the part of ourselves that's already standing in the light and knowing who we are, which is a fractal of source in partnership with all that is, which is the light, which is the true power. When that came in and replaced it, I got to put this to the test. And I learned very quickly that if I acted out of a trigger and I tried to stand up, it didn't work. I'd get embroiled in the drama and handing my power away and the terrors. Yet when I pulled away and said, okay, I'm triggered, I need to speak up, I need to confront this, and I went and did the work, and quantumly it's fast. And then I came out of fear I was anti-fear. I didn't feel the trigger, but I still had to take a big, deep breath. I had to pull up my big girl pants. I had to know I didn't have a strong man or a father standing beside me. And I had to be directly with source, my own sense of security to lay boundaries and speak up. Then I started doing it. And it's never pleasant. It's not easy to say what you need to say, because you could have people disapprove of you. You could have people leave you. You could lose relationships. But I knew, after not being my own security and being enmeshed in those old programs of more trauma being created, I knew I didn't have a choice. So I took it on, and I was that awesome quantum student, and I started doing it in my life. And yes, absolutely, I lost people. I did. And absolutely, I had some people stand against me, of course. But what I found is that if anything else got triggered, which it did, I could let that go. I could bring in the light and stand even stronger in this integrity and light-filled illumination, which means right action. And my life started transforming beyond my wildest dreams into the right people, into the truth, into success, into no longer handing away power and then really hating myself for it. So things turned 180 degrees around. So anyway, I just did a Shifts Happen episode with quantum warriors from all over the world where we discussed this topic. And we did really powerful healings on this. And you can check it out in the recording and the session and all the other Shifts Happen stuff that goes on there. You'll see the link with this video. But if you're really embroiled in the NARC stuff at this stage, and it is painful and it is traumatizing and it is horrible, and they do seem all powerful until we take our power back, and then you discover they're not, and you go free. This is one of the greatest opportunities for you to finally take your power back. And the link is for NARP up in the up above this video as well. And like I said, I'm going to be putting this on YouTube. Please like and share this with people who you know are battling, especially as women, to know that they have their own power and they can survive. Because I promise you can. And I've seen women even later in life, when we work on frequency, there are no restrictions like my age, or I don't have job experience, or this, and this. Frequency and source does not have any statistics or realities that are just not higher frequency. Where there was no way, there will be a way. I promise you, I've seen it so many times. So anyway, leave your comments and your questions, and I'll look forward to answering them for you. And it's so exciting for Thriver TV to be back. It's time. And I love you all, and I'll talk to you soon. And thank you so much for sharing this time with me. Lots of love. Bye-bye.